Lights up!
Everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Lights Up, the podcast of Putney Theatre Company. I am delighted to say that I'm joined today by three cast members of our forthcoming main stage production of Blithe Spirit. We have Dan, we have Sarah, and we have Cait. Well, hello, gang. How are we all?
Very well. Hello.
Yeah, great.
Now, Dan, you are brand new to Putney Theatre Company, so a very big welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
Remind us all, who are you playing in Blithe Spirit?
So I'm playing Charles Condomine, the celebrated writer.
So he is the main protagonist. So he's a famous novelist?
Yes.
How does he fit into the whole play?
So he has an idea for a new book. He knows it needs to be about something to do with the occult. And to do some research, he invites some of his friends and a professional medium round for dinner. And they host a séance. And during the séance, they accidentally conjure something unexpected.
Da, da, da. So it's basically research for his book.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Sarah and Cait. Now, Cait, you play Elvira, is that correct?
I do.
Now, who's she and where does she fit into the whole
Well,
thing?
spoiler alert, she is dead from the start.
What?
I know, she's a ghost. She is the beautiful and wonderful ex-wife of Charles Condomine.
But she's dead.
She's so dead.
Are we wafting around ghost-like? I
Yes,
do hope
I
so.
will be floating for the entire performance.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So why are you in the play if you were dead?
I get brought back by the lovely Madame Arcati.
Played by Sarah Perkins, sitting here now. Iconic role, Sarah Perkins, Madame Arcati.
No pressure there.
No, I know. I'm winding up. Don't be silly. Now, so she is the professional person. What is it?
Yeah,
Is
she's
that
a
what we call them?
professional medium, mystic, spiritualist. She has been doing this since a child. Her mother was a medium before her, so she's had a lot of experience, has been around it her whole life. She thoroughly believes in her own skills and is very much in touch with the vibrations of the Condomine house.
I love that now. But does she really have skills? Because I always assumed that she doesn't have skills and she's been making it up all this time.
That is an interesting point, and actually one I am probably we have talked about within the cast, but also one that the audience will have to maybe come to a conclusion to. My conclusion certainly is that she certainly believes she is real. She is the real deal, wholeheartedly believes that, but is also aware of others' ability to see or not see as well.
So she doesn't believe that she's fraudulent.
Oh no,
So she gets invited.
Exactly. She's had a famous case when she was much younger, so she's been riding on the coattails of that ever since and thoroughly wants to recreate her magnificence of that time.
Fantastic. So now, is it too much of a spoiler alert if we say how Cait arrives back on the scene? I think people know this, don't they?
I think
we're okay.
We're
We're
going
out
to
for a
take like
little
nearly
while.
100. If they don't know now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, where have you been living? Under a rock for the past 60 odd, more than that years. So it was first performed, am I right in saying 1941? Am I right in now saying that we're not setting it in the 40s, my friends? No. Tell me the era.
We are setting it in 1974, so bring on the lava lamps, bring on the
Flares.
flares.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
No coward with flares. Is this how we're going to be marketing it?
That is our tagline. Yes.
Excellent. Please tell me you're wearing a caftan, Sarah Perkins. I should be gutted if you're not.
I have a number of interesting options. We've got a very colour scheme. I'm very much in purple. Caftan may yet pop in, but we are layering.
Now, what about Charles, though? What are you wearing in the 70s?
I'm wearing a mix of lovely turtlenecks,
Fabulous.
flared cords,
Nice.
a variety of suits,
Fantastic.
a variety of nice cardigans.
All the lapels.
All the lapels, all the cuffs, all the collars, it's all happening.
So I don't think I've ever seen a production of any Noël Coward play set in the 70s. So this is the first. Have you guys ever seen it not done in period of the time it was written?
Although I have just read an extract from Coward's diary where he went to see the play one night and said,
The play was great, except for Margaret Rutherford.
Oh,
so
gosh.
who knows?
Is that because he wasn't directing it?
That's all it says. No
I
other
mean, that
information.
is not a review you want to get, is it? From the
Not
writer.
No, I hope that's not
Yeah.
what he thinks of us.
I feel like that's one of the things with Arcati as a role, and whenever I've mentioned it to people, having obviously already admitted now I haven't seen Blithe Spirit, is that people are, the expectation of what Madame Arcati is going to be like is very present. You know, it's a very well-known play. People are expecting certain things from her, and she's not going to be that.
Well,
I would
isn't that
say.
the joy, though, my darling? Because it's a bit like Lady Bracknell, isn't it? In Points of Being Earnest, that you get to do it your own way, which is the fun thing. As long as people don't shout out your lines. Like, I just remember in Points of... Yes, they did.
Oh my god.
Oh, yes, the last version we did here, the Points of Being Earnest, Penny Weatherall, stalwart of PTC, played Lady Bracknell, and as she was about to say a handbag, somebody in the audience just shouted it out.
It's not karaoke.
I know!
I'm Rocky
know.
Horror.
I was in the audience, it wasn't me though. That's it.
I mean, bless her. She was very self-contained. I would have probably not been so. But no, we were talking about Elvira, your character, my darling. How do you get back into being in the play, and what do you do?
So I come back as a result of the séance, and I have a fantastic time, just mostly winding up Charles, doing everything I can to then annoy Ruth. I'm probably a bit jealous.
So Ruth is
His
The
current,
current
wife.
wife.
the current
Ooh.
wife.
Yes.
So when and how did Elvira die? Do we know that?
7
Yes.
years ago.
Someone's
died.
paying
I
attention.
was trying to
Sarah
remember.
Perkins has done it.
So she died 7 years before the start of the play.
Right.
She died in a coughing fit brought on by the BBC Musicals programme after catching pneumonia on a boat.
But actually, I was finding it so hilarious, I believe, as well.
Yes, you were
So
loving it.
It was so
You died
funny.
doing what you love.
Yes.
You died of laughter.
What a way to go!
I'm thinking that only Noël Coward can actually write that, really. Because it is a farce at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. So the whole thing is obviously a little far-fetched and silly.
Yes,
But
it's a
isn't that the
comedy.
beauty?
We
Yes.
would hope that people find it funny. That is our aim.
Blithe Spirit, the thriller.
The whodunit.
And we've been able to have so much more fun with it, I think, doing it in the 70s. You pull across so much more energy, so much more pace
New
and
nuances.
fun, and differences in the relationships too, I think.
Yeah, and what about the script? How is that translated from the 40s to the 70s?
The language has been surprisingly easy to do a bit differently. We're not doing these sort of clipped impressions of Noël Coward. It's much more free-flowing, and we can have a lot more naturalistic fun with it, I suppose. Some things have changed, though. Some sort of references.
How we play it differently. Some edits, of course, as well. To your point, there have been some changes, but the whole character piece and working really with Tom and Leslie, our directors, we have gone through a whole gamut of different styles, different characterizations, being pulled back in other ways, to really try. That's been for every character. It hasn't just been about one or two. Everyone's had a chance to really...
It's been really challenging, but
Yeah.
really refreshing at the same time to not necessarily go for the obvious and to actually look in a bit deeper and this might look like this, but actually how else can we play it that's much more human and much more in the moment. And Tom's done lots of work on making us listen lots to each other and it's been really nice to kind of work in that way. That it just feels really safe and organic and playful, and it's been really great.
Playful.
and
It's definitely funnier as a
Yeah.
result too.
And I think that bringing it to the 70s brings it closer to our experience, and therefore then allows the human side of these characters, because we didn't want them to be caricatures. I say we, Tom, didn't want them to be caricatures.
I love a caricature.
So we've worked really hard to try and bring the realness to the relationships, particularly I think that's evident between Charles and his two wives.
But it's interesting to have a very fresh take on an old classic. And I think, I think if you set it in the 40s when it was written, then the tendency is to so much easier to fall into those sort of stereotypical tropes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of having very clipped voices and those relationships which are much more, the emotions are much more suppressed.
And that was our first week of rehearsals, as we were
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
RPing
flushing
all
it
over
out.
the place.
Yeah.
So, as we've established, Charles is married to Ruth, his second wife, after the death previously 7 years ago of Elvira. And as part of his research for his new, which I'm assuming is going to be a bestseller,
Absolutely.
about séance and mediums, he invites the fabulously eccentric, I'm assuming, Madame Arcati should come along and sort of be part of that experience so that he can write from lived experience. So what happens after that? So you do the séance.
Yeah, we conjure the spirit of Elvira, Charles's first wife, but at first, not everybody can see. And so we get some wonderful comedy out of some knowing what's really going on, others being quite confused and having all of these other ideas about what Charles is up to. And then eventually, Elvira just wreaks such havoc on Charles's current marriage and all of the sort of friendships and relationships around that you get this wonderful kind of deliciously funny and yet also at times quite tense, and it can be quite sincere in moments too.
I love it. So do you spend your whole time just wandering around sort of frenetic energy going, oh my God, what's happening to my life?
Definitely. And at times talking to myself.
But it sounds like you've got heaps of fun. I can't wait to see it. Well, I was going to say, everyone in Flares, but particularly you, Dan. It'll be amazing.
Excuse me.
Well,
I'm
maybe
excited
Sarah.
to see all of the physical effects that we have in store for you as well.
Oh, don't tell me too much,
Cursed
but I want
child is
to
going
know.
to eat its heart out.
Oh, if you want to know more, you have to come.
Now we've talked about costumes, which are clearly going to be amazing. I want to hear about the set. Designed by the fabulous Perry Kitchen, am I right?
Absolutely. We'll get
In the
some touches
throne.
of music as well. There's a nice little
nice
music
soundtrack.
theme that runs through it.
Memory
And I
lane.
believe something that's being created by a member on the theme of our main songs.
Wow. Is it live music or no? I was expecting
I
a
should be
guitar
playing a
at some
record
point.
player.
Oh, she's not telling me anything. It's very frustrating. She's very well briefed, isn't she?
We have to be mysterious. The whole play is mysterious.
But you're not the only guest. I was looking at you, Sarah. You're not the only guest at the dinner
I'm not
party.
a guest.
The main event.
You are the star of it. I'm so sorry. How could I possibly ever? But so, who have you invited to your séance party?
Two of our closest friends,
Ooh.
Mr. and Mrs. Bradman.
Do they know what's in store?
They do, because one of them's rather cynical and the other is an absolute pushover for something supernatural. And they were invited because the vicar and his wife were deemed to be too boring.
I
They
love
are
that.
the definition of skeptic and believer,
Yes.
aren't they?
Yeah.
The extreme levels of each.
Oh, brilliant!
Playing a beautiful relationship, and through it, it's just it's beautiful. And how Dr. Bradman, particularly, and Madame Arcati, he's reaffirmed unbeliever, and she has the measure of him.
But I'm interested about the language of how you've had to do some of the editing of that.
Yeah, no, it's been interesting, and I think that it's hard because some of the language is very much written over the time. Some of it, once you've got your character, seems easy. Then other bits are really difficult to navigate. And because Noël Coward's so good with language, he'll say a number of different things, a number of different ways, trying to say the same sentence probably 4 or 5 times in the play, but every time you're saying it slightly differently. So trying to remember which one of those it is at any given time.
Okay.
Is a mystery.
But what has carried across is the lovely kind of meter, the rhythm of the lines, and it makes for a wonderful kind of musical, lyrical conversation, which can be really punchy and have really well constructed punch lines that make for a great laugh, but can also tangle you into a mess. So that's been fun.
The tricksy web.
But that's just brilliant writing, isn't it?
Yeah. Something that I've been thinking about recently that we haven't talked about as much. Seances, so 1941, lots of people had loved ones that they had lost in things like the Blitz and the war. So seance culture and a desire to speak to one's loved ones was so much more like prevalent and quite brutal at the time. And so by pushing it into the 70s, it has very different connotations. That experience is a lot less solemn, I think, and a lot more kind of new age and kind of spiritual.
Sort of Ouija board.
Yeah.
Hey, are you pushing it? No.
Yeah. And then you think about what it is now, and it's mostly like fun jump horror films, or it's.
There are more healing
true.
things now. I think there's a huge,
fascination.
exactly.
Really
And I think that's where all the characters at the table have varying degrees, and then of course, immediately Charles has to face the fact of,
You laugh at it until a what if. And then it's a device that allows you to explore all these things.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, what fun to come back as a ghost and be really annoying.
I mean, particularly
100%.
for you, and that especially the beginning, you're just playing with Charles.
Yeah.
He's the only one. You said something, but he's the only one that can hear her, and everyone's just, he's to sort of fob it off as a joke,
just
and
having
she's having the best
time of her life.
Yeah, and it feels like
Or death.
Or
Yeah. Although she's had some good times. She's met some good people.
Yes, we hear all
yes.
about what it's like in
The
the
tales of the
afterlife.
other side.
Oh, now
So
that's
come if
really-
you're curious.
Yeah.
That's really
some
interesting.
celebs, some
Yeah.
celeb interaction.
Yeah.
Some
Elvira knows
of
them all.
the bureaucratic institutions that keep the afterlife going.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we have a real insight into the afterlife, a la Noël
Politics.
Coward.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
Processes.
She's hanging out with the A-listers back on the other side.
Mm.
Well, we didn't really talk
Good
about
job,
poor
you can't
Ruth.
see
How
it.
does Ruth feel about this, though?
I'd say she's pretty annoyed, actually.
She's
that
a
an
force to be
understatement?
reckoned with, is Ruth. She's
Yeah.
not just going to sit down and let Elvira have the time of her death. She's going to put up a fight.
Yeah.
You know, her and Charles have a strong marriage. They're very much happy, and then Elvira comes in with this curveball.
Do you think you were happier with Ruth than you were with Elvira?
Be careful.
I'm thinking because it wasn't like
There's
you got
no way to win
divorced.
here.
No, there is not. Happy's also an interesting.
Let's just say Charles has a great time being what's called in the play an astral bigamist.
That is a great term, isn't it?
But actually, I think all the women actually in the play are strong women. We're not coming to see a play where it's, a man has written these waif-like women that are kind of just there to serve or anything. These women are tough, and that's part of what makes it. And what does make it timeless and makes us still want to watch it.
And Ruth really has to sort of face her disbelief of the spiritual world, faced with what she's learning about Charles and Elvira, and basically calls Madame Arcati back. She's to the point where she has to lower herself to getting this woman back in the room and saying, "Help me, I need to get rid of her."
Now, dear listener, it's taking place from the 29th of April to the 3rd of May, as I said, on our main stage. Tickets are available via our website, www.putneyartstheatre.org.uk. Links will also be on our social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can find us there. Can't wait to see it.
We'll see you then.
I'm going to see you there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
This is a real Putney Theatre Company production. Do share the podcast with your friends and take a look at our website, searching online for the Putney Theatre Company. So that's it for now. See you next time.